Namaste, companions, friends, beloveds. My name is Verdeluz from Divine Timing Coaching. Yasos from Greece, from Crete, my last few days here, and excited to share with you all today about the Mercury retrograde. Oh, wow. Well, real relationships. They are being reoriented right now as we retrograde. Retrogrades are always times of reflection, regeneration, rebirth, resurrection. Those cycles where we go within ourselves and study deeper about wherever Mercury happens to be transiting. The messenger God is bringing us information, insights, new perspectives, new possibilities. This is an extremely powerful cycle, and what I want to share with you here is about Mercury retrograde in Libra. Just began on this Monday, the 27th, and how we're going to navigate the next few weeks, even into the next few months. And we're going to discuss about Mercury square Pluto during this time, and Mercury trine Jupiter. And I'm going to read to you a bit from my newsletter, a little bit of poetry, and to offer some teachings from A Course in Miracles, which is a really beautiful teaching to help us navigate these relational initiations at this time. So let's take a deep breath. It has been very full on. We have basically, all drunk the wine of Pluto, the god of the underworld, and we are accessing the shadow spaces in our relationship now. So where are we in the wheel of the zodiac? Where are we on the sun's journey through the year? This is really powerful. We are at the time of Hades' chariot. And so let's begin with this idea of how we ride Hades' chariot. So the Mercury retrograde in Libra, square Pluto and trine Jupiter. You will feel threatened, but faith will guide. With philosophia, the love of truth, love is not blind. And question the you who can be hurt, who holds the grievance, or who knows its eternal worth. Question the you who can be hurt, who holds the grievance, or who knows its eternal worth. And thus, what truth is lowercase and relative, and what truth is caps lock, ultimate, immutable. So in the ancient world, there was no constellation related to the scales of Libra. In fact, when the sun hit the fall equinox, the autumn equinox, it literally fell. The sun, the solar hero, fell. It began its annual descent, and this is when the Egyptian Osiris would meet his brother Set. Now, he does this every day during the sunset, but this is the sunset time of the year. The sun sets and begins to ride on Hades' chariot. Right? It's like when Heracles, or Hercules, the great hero, there's the 12 labors of Hercules in the mythology, and those are actually the movement of the sun throughout the year. It's the solar hero's journey through the wheel of the zodiac. Well, we're riding Hades' chariot now, and this is the ancient name for the constellation of Libra. The sun has entered here, Mars is here now, Mercury is retrograde here, in preparation, of course, for the sign that succeeds, which is Scorpio, the underworld, Hades' domain. So if the sun is representing this solar egoic self, that we all carry, right, that's necessary in our journey, then this is the point where the pride of that ego and the individualist separating desires crumble. We encounter the other now. We entangle with the beloved now. And so this is the square to Mercury retrograde in Libra to Pluto or Hades' chariot. It's revealing a face to us, a face of our own shadow, like the dark goddess Medusa and her serpent-haired mirror. Right? We may want to turn away from that. And yet serpents were always symbols of healing, regeneration, power, sexuality. I just visited with our community here that we took on the alchemical pilgrimage through Greece, we visited the Asclepion, the healing sanctuary of Asclepius, the Greek god of healing, whose symbol was the staff with a single serpent. And you may know that there's a constellation called Ophiuchus, the 13th constellation, which is after, in the wheel of the zodiac, after Scorpio. So we're not there yet, but as the sun journeys through the underworld, it starts to wrestle with the ego, the desires for transcendence coming in Sagittarius. And also the pull, that sort of anchor, that gravity, that magnet of that underworld, of that egoic desire to remain separate in its perception of itself. And so we have the shaman who's wrestling with serpents of the unconscious. And there's the downward facing serpent, which is the journey of the soul to incarnate. And there's that upward slithering serpent, which is the journey of the spirit back home, returning to its source. And so when we are entering into this underworld journey now, Hades' chariot taking us there, looking at Medusa's face directly, right? Being not turned to stone, but rather facing truth dead on. That's what it is. Her stare is immutable, absolute truth. It's the voice of the dark goddess who says, remember first that relationship means you will not do this alone. Relationship means that you will not do this alone. This journey, we're all going through this journey. You and I are doing this together. Right? That's the first point that Medusa shares. And secondly, she says that relationship requires vulnerability and transparency. And so the next 2 weeks, as Venus continues her journey in Scorpio, the underworld, right? This is Persephone dancing in the underworld. The dark goddess, whoa, can I survive here? All of this intensity, seeing my own obsessions, my own compulsions. And Mars is in Venus's sign, Libra. So Venus in Mars sign, Mars in Venus's sign. The god and the goddess have to will themselves to learn each other's dance steps, right? It's literally like walking in each other's shoes, hopping in each other's shoes, jumping, and then even kicking in each other's shoes. But kick with care, martial artist. This is the cycle of the martial artist. This is a cycle where we must learn how to face each other and encounter, actually the word is kind of a tension or a conflict built into it, a counter, like a counterattack. And we have to learn how to dance, like in a martial way, like capoeira, if you know capoeira, Brazilian art of, dance, martial arts, music, right? There's like, who is my partner / nemesis here? And the nemesis, if you know the Greek etymology, is the part of us that actually challenges us to grow into our heroic capacity. Right? So if you look at any of the great stories from Marvel or any of the heroic Hollywood movies, without a nemesis, the hero can't be born. And right now we are learning how to speak with our nemesis, how to negotiate. We're like diplomats, right? And we're trying to negotiate with the terrorist within ourselves and within our partners. And so there are shadows behind the symptoms of the reactivity that we might be feeling. And our torches that we bear in the caves of this unconscious must now be lit by each other. We have to be willing to light the other's torch, to want to see the truth. This is a really powerful initiation for all of us, to not make anything secret, to not push anything aside, right? Because Pluto could be all about secrets. Pluto could be all about manipulation. But at the same time, the other side of this, right, is the revelation, right? I love this term called mysterium tremendum, right, where we get faced with the great mystery, like dead on. And we have this oftentimes in our entheogenic or psychedelic experiences, right? Or when we are near death, ourselves, or it's close to someone that we love, or at birth, right? Those portals, right? Where the intensity of the life and the human experience and the life experience are felt so strongly. And this is one of those moments. We have to be careful with our language with Mercury square Pluto, that we don't self-destruct or negatively speak about each other. Gossip, especially with Mercury in Libra. How do we use speech? Right speech is key right now. Right speech is a Buddhist term. It's one of the Noble Eightfold Paths. And that means we speak in alignment with truth, which is that all form is emptiness and all emptiness is form. This is core to Buddhist Tantra. That also in the Shaiva Tantra tradition, that all life is pervaded by consciousness, by spirit, or we could call it Shiva Shakti. So everything is scintillating with life, with consciousness. But with this cycle, we could use our words, our speech, our concepts to really separate ourselves or create an us and them, or you and me. And it's your fault. You did this. You're not doing that. So we have support. We have support from Jove, by Jupiter, the great benefic planet Jupiter in Aquarius, actually in a perfect trine to Mercury right now, and really for the next 10 days or so, but very strong right now, this week. And Mercury's been trine Jupiter for about 10 days already. Mercury's also been square Pluto for about that long. So this is fascinating because we must access the depths, but we have this support through philosophy, through a different perspective that Jupiter is bringing, through some healthy detachment, Jupiter in Aquarius, through the power of community as well, group gatherings, or teachings that help us understand our energetic patterns like astrology, human design, and what we're going to talk about next, which is A Course in Miracles. So this wise sage Jupiter is giving us advice if we stay curious. This is very important. Mercury retrograde cycles, whatever sign he's in, the trickster's dancing through Libra, we need to get curious about what it means to be supportive and balanced and harmonious and fair and equal in relationship. Mercury is always the curious cat. So if we're willing to spelunk into these caves, right, to discover through that process, to commit to the excavation, and to be excited by all the colors of the revelation, there's so much we can learn. And one of the most challenging and enlightening Jupiterian perspectives during this entire autumn's relationship initiation, because remember that Mars is in Libra, and Mars is going to go into Scorpio pretty much on Halloween. Perfect timing, huh? Samhain, Mars into Scorpio. So deep. Venus is already in Scorpio. The Sun will go into Scorpio in 3 weeks. Then Mars is going into Scorpio. So we're in the portal. We're in the relationship initiation portal. And the special and holy relationship, as discussed by the Course in Miracles, can be one of our great guides during this time. According to the Course, a special relationship that is exclusive to me, right? An exclusive relationship that idolizes me. It has an importance only to my ego. Right? Like this is your mind, this kind of idea of possessiveness, which naturally leads to obsessiveness, compulsiveness. So when we use relationship in this way, in this special way, then, as the Course says, it can result in us feeling separate. And this is unnatural, says the Course, since our Creator does not love this way. Our Creator's relationship to us is not special in this way. Divine love is all-inclusive, right? It's equal. It's unconditional, given to all. That's such a revelation for us, right? Because it's so easy to hook into each other, to attach. But that divine love doesn't hook into us. It's open. It's free. That's what the Course says. It says love is freedom. But that's not how we tend to love, right? That can be scary to the ego. But any moment that I'm feeling shackled or chained in my relationships, then I need to look at why I've signed up for bondage instead of freedom, and fear instead of love. And so the question comes, what do we do with these relational upsets as they're happening now and probably throughout a lot of this autumn cycle? We're gonna break into new levels, erupting into new levels of consciousness and intention in our partners, but then we're gonna get triggered by something, and it's gonna be these kind of waves, for us. It already has been the last few weeks. It really had a peak moment during that full moon in Pisces too. A lot of projections around that time. Ideals, stories of victimhood. This is what we're transcending collectively right now, but we're not through that portal. So when we get upset, when we get triggered, the first thing we have to do is pause. We have to take the breath. Now the Stoic philosophers, the ancient Greek Stoics, taught a lot about this, right? Don't feed the anger, don't feed the reactivity, don't feed the irritation. It's okay to feel it. That's natural. But we suffer because we feed it, and we identify in a very narrow way with that. So we can offer the upset that we're having, the anger, the pain, the irritation, to something greater than ourselves. The Course in Miracles calls it the Holy Spirit, the part of us that knows all, the part of us that's connected to the eternal, to our Creator, to the divine. Now in Shaiva Tantra, we might offer this irritation, this anger, whatever it is, frustration, up to the god or the goddess, to Shiva, to Shakti, or any of the gods and goddesses from any tradition. We could offer it to Mars and Venus. We recognize the power, and Shakti, the word Shakti means power, energy. We recognize the power behind the emotion or the trigger. Whoa, there's a lot of energy here. Now what can we do with that energy, right? This is where alchemy comes in. This is where we take the lead, the heaviness, the reactivity, right? We start the process of calcination, right? We're burning away this reactive tendency. So we want to apply that energy of the trigger, that Shakti energy, towards something creative. And this is so fascinating because in the Hindu tradition, Shiva was always the creator and the destroyer. And this is very connected with the astrology symbol of Pluto. Same idea, because the false self, the egoic self, and in evolutionary astrology, Pluto represents those separating desires. But on the other side of Pluto, the polarity point of Pluto represents the returning desires. And those returning desires, right, they are working directly in this relationship, right, with how the ego gets attached, gets bonded, and that false self needs to be destroyed, needs to be released to open to the space of peace and creativity. And so we can say to ourselves, we can say to our beloveds, I am willing to exchange this conflict for peace. I am willing to give up this fear for love. And I'm offering this negativity, this reactivity, to a higher power, which is my true nature. Once one person does this in relationship, then the higher guide of both the souls can magnetize this vibration of oneness. This vibration where understanding can be met, peace can be met, where healing can occur, and where our innate wholeness can be remembered. So Mercury in Libra, square Pluto, trining Jupiter, supporting aspect from Jupiter, challenge from Pluto. Can we excavate into the caves of the unconscious together, guided by the light of faith? The heart's communication says the one has nothing to hide from its parts. The one has nothing to hide from its parts. I'm going to leave you today with the quote from A Course in Miracles, from the section, chapter 68, Love holds no grievances. Love holds no grievances. Let me not betray myself, my true self, which is love, which is eternal, which is one. Love holds no grievances. You who are created by love, like itself, can hold no grievances. And know yourself. You can hold no grievances and simultaneously know yourself. You can hold no grievances and simultaneously know yourself. To hold a grievance is to forget who you are. To hold a grievance. To stay in grief for what isn't there, right? For what could be. That's to forget who you are. To hold a grievance is to see yourself as a body. To hold a grievance is to let the ego rule your mind and to condemn the body to death. Love holds no grievances. I would wake myself, I would wake to myself by laying all my grievances aside and wakening in my Creator. Love holds no grievances. I would wake to myself by laying all my grievances aside and wakening in my Creator. The Course in Miracles says you don't have to believe this, but just remember what it says. Remember what it says in these moments, right? Let yourself be challenged by it. Play with it. I hope that's helpful for you. Mercury square Pluto, trine Jupiter, Libra, retrograde, reorienting relationship. Namaste, Verdaluz. See you later. Take care.